Welcome to the Beyond Cinema studio and the Bio.com studio up here at TIFF. Jake, Abel, Ethan Hawke, Andrew Niccol. Firstly, congratulations on the buzz that this film just got at Venice. Coming to North America after playing it to a European audience, how do you feel in terms of like just the kind of momentum and shifting from like Europe to the States with this subject matter?
I just hope it will provoke more discussion and more thought, and hopefully the film is sort of a cautionary tale of where we're going with this new warfare.
Some of your movies are cautionary tales of where we're going in general, and usually a little further out. This one seems to have much more immediacy to it.
It's actually a period piece because it's set in 2010, so it's 4 years old.
It seems futuristic, but it's actually very dated.
It is the way war is now. And we've never had war like this where it's so schizophrenic that the character Ethan plays, will fight the Taliban for 12 hours and then he'll go home to his wife and kids.
Help with math homework.
In Vegas.
In Vegas, yeah.
That whole idea of remote warfare and just, there are a couple of guys that I interviewed that said that they don't go out politically and kind of stand next to Obama or stand next to a president or candidate and speak whatever in support as an actor. But what they do is that they try and make choices in their movies that if you look at them enough, you'll see that they have an opinion on politics. For you, is that indicative of kind of your work as well, would you say?
Can I take that one for me?
Yeah.
Is it, I don't think when a movie has an agenda with an audience, as if it's trying to convince them of something, one of the things that I love about this movie is it really just kind of presents the truth. And you can make out of it what you will, and I think you'll end up struggling with it the same way the characters do. That, whenever you try to anesthetize war, there's hypocrisy there. I mean, and one of the things that's happening, that has really started happening with the Vietnam War is when the public started seeing dead bodies and started seeing how it happened, that people don't like to see that.
Yeah.
And there's something about the drone program which makes it seem very safe and very distant. And one of the things that's really most interesting about this movie is, I for one, I don't know about you, but when I used to read the newspaper and say a drone strike in Afghanistan or something, I had no idea really what that meant. I kind of imagined something from a animated Star Wars Clone Wars or something where some ray came down. And, but I think the movie will give you some context of what's happening in warfare today.
You've got a stepbrother in the military?
I do.
Was he a resource for you, or do you?
He's been a resource for everything in my life.
Yeah.
But mostly, he's a fierce patriot and he holds a lot of what people think of as kind of right-wing beliefs to heart, and it's always been a real compelling force in my life for helping me understand everything, all the different. He sees it from a really up close and a lot more. He puts his life on the line for his beliefs, and so I've always had a tremendous respect for him.
Jake, you're kind of the voice of the media in this project, and obviously it's a polarizing effect that media is having today. So for you, kind of diving into that, what was kind of the thing you learned?
As far as what specifically?
Like in terms of out of the research you did into like the media and the way that they're presenting these issues, what did you come away with?
Well, Zimmer, he's very much of one mindset about what this program means, and he's very decisive about good guys and bad guys. And I think that was, as each character has in the movie, a different viewpoint and what they're struggling with. I have mine, Zoe Kravitz has hers where she is turning it, and I think Egan is sort of ping-ponging in between of what's the right path. The drone program has been something that I researched on my own because I was so interested by it. So when Andrew told me that he had this coming, I immediately tried to impress him with my knowledge of,
Failed.
DARPA and the
Failed.
drone program to say, I could maybe do this with you. And I just got lucky.
Was that during the host? Were you already kind of working on this? Was that, or were you guys, did you guys stay in touch?
I dropped a hint to him that
Yeah.
maybe he might be good.
And then I didn't hear from him for a very long time and had to email him and say, are you still making that movie?
That's very cool that you get to have that relationship.
Yeah.
As to you guys' relationship, obviously, Ethan, you and Linklater and all the success that has kind of been bookmarked over the course of the last 12 months with finishing off the trilogy, and then obviously with Boyhood this year, getting such warm reception and continued reception. But this is kind of a trilogy of sorts that you've had with Andrew as well. Another key collaborator over the course of 3 films. How did you guys meet? Was it a Peter Weir thing, or?
No, it was just on Gattaca, I think. Yeah.
But was Peter? No, I mean
He was making The Truman Show, I think.
when I
at the
came
same
in to
time.
meet
So
you
he
for
sort of,
Gattaca,
he was a mutual friend at the time.
And how's your relationship evolved?
we can't stand each other. It's really tough.
To be this close
is physically difficult.
Yeah.
No, I will say the one thing I remember when I talked to Peter Weir when he was shooting Truman Show, and he said, if you have any chance to meet Andrew Niccol, this guy's a major writer. He was so passionate about him.
Peter obviously gave you kind of one of your key breakthrough moments with Dead Poets. And, I can't let the opportunity go without asking you to comment on Robin Williams at that time, and like Jake, I know on your Twitter feed and stuff like that, you kind of did a shout out to Robin as well. But just a quick.
Well, the
quick
best
thought.
thing, if anybody has a chance, Peter Coyote wrote some unbelievable words that Andrew gave me about Robin. And for me, my first real experience with what acting could be was with Robin on Dead Poets Society. He wrote, "I sound my barbaric yelp over the rooftops of the world," Walt Whitman quote, and this is one of the first times I felt the thrill, the buzz of acting, and it was through collaborating with him. And so I think there's a particular sadness that comes on when somebody who made so many of us so happy was in such obvious inner pain. I think it's something that hurts all of us.
Is that why? Did you talk about that, or were you kind of?
I'm friends with his daughter. She's a good friend, so I unfortunately never got the pleasure to meet or work with him, but just sort of in his family capacity, and more than that, as he's my childhood, and I'd worked with Chris Columbus, and they were collaborators, and the stories I heard from him when we worked together, it's my youth.
In terms of just the kind of creative discussion we were having before camera rolls, you've got a music bent as well, right?
Sort of.
And obviously, Ethan, your kind of creativity has spanned many kind of outputs.
We have Zoe Kravitz in the movie too, who's
Yeah.
like a genuine rock star.
Yeah. What is there some sort of element that did you guys talk much on the film? Did you have much opportunity to spend time with
I
each
tried
other?
to learn through osmosis
Yeah.
with Ethan. He was definitely one of the guys I've always wanted to work with, because I've always wanted to know how, maybe we can talk about this later, how does an actor become a published author, a writer, a director, and those were things that I always wanted to do, so.
Fashion designer.
And if I- no,
I try,
I
so I
don't-
try,
that's
I
one
don't,
thing
I
I'm
don't
not-
talk to him, I just sit back and watch
But
and take notes.
that's part of why I was before this started, we were talking about Dennis Hopper, and he was one of the first people not first, people have been doing it throughout all time, but one of the first people in my consciousness who didn't delineate lines between art forms like that. He kind of gave himself over to, his eye in photography and his eye in the art world, he's one of the people who kind of really discovered Lichtenstein and Andy Warhol, and Hopper was a major mind about art in general.
Yeah. And, for you, like a lot of times what we do is we ask people kind of about their mentors or their inspiration. And I'll kind of close it off with Seymour for you. But, Andrew, when you were kind of coming up in New Zealand and starting to write and starting to kind of think about this creative path, did you have people in mind? Did you have kind of key?
I don't think I'd be sitting here if it wasn't for Cuckoo's Nest. So that's one key influence.
Ken
It's the first
Kesey or
movie I ever
Milos?
saw, Cuckoo's Nest. And my mom took me when I was like a little kid. Yeah.
It's a kids' film.
It's a kid's film. It's the only film, I swear, whenever in my life, whenever I felt completely at sea or lost, if you watch that film, you somehow feel better after it's over. Or maybe that's just, it's so depressing that then you...
It's the lunatics running the asylum. You know?
Yeah, I think I
Look
relate
where we
to
are.
that. Yeah.
And for you, Jake, for you, like, have you got like a mentor figure? Is there someone you bounce ideas off?
Well, my mentor was sort of my quasi like acting coach I found when I moved out to LA, and he's an old school Irish character actor named Morgan Shepherd, and he's been in everything, and he sort of like he taught me survival above all, and to strive to be an artist. And so I see him every like once a year, and I like refill my bottle full of what I need from him, and then he allows me to go off, and it's really special.
And Ethan, one of your key figures of inspiration is playing at this with Seymour Bernstein. So for you, like being able to spend that amount of time with him and then present that publicly, got a great reception at Telluride. What does that mean? Like, what does that mean for you? 'Cause
I just think truthfully as adults, the reason why to make that documentary is because I think a lot of us actually don't have mentors, and we don't have people, especially when you become an adult, about people to kind of help you in your adult life gain focus. And one of the interesting things about a really specific art form like piano playing is it's very clear how to get better. I mean, and when people are better at certain stages, whereas acting, it's harder to see how your growth and your development is going, and I think not dissimilar to Zen and the Art of Archery, this documentary aspires to say if you do anything well, it relates to everything.
The artless art.
Jake said it.
it feels like you guys are kind of in a zone right now, not working on multiple things. So I just wanted to thank you for coming by, and congratulations for all the continued success.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.